So today we are reading Canto 6, Chapter 10, entitled The Battle Between the Demons and Vritrasura. Text 5 and 6. Text 5 doesn't have purport, so I will be just reading it. And text 6, it's on the board. Shideva Uchuhu Kim Nata Dustajam Brahman Pumsam Bhutanu Kampinam Bhavatidana Mahatam Punya Shloke Jakarmanam. The demigods replied, O exalted Brahmana, pious persons like you, whose activities are praiseworthy, are very kind and affectionate to the people in general. What can such pious souls give for the benefit of others? They can give everything, including their bodies. And then text 6. Please repeat. Nunam sarta paroloko Naveda parasankatam Yadivedana yacheta Netinahaya dishvaraha Nunam sarta paroloko Naveda parasankata Yadivedana yacheta Netinahaya dishvaraha Nunam sarta paroloko Naveda parasankata Yadivedana yacheta Netinahaya dishvaraha. Nunam svarta paroloko Naveda parasankata Yadivedana yacheta Netinahaya dishvaraha. Svarta paroloko Naveda parasankata Yadivedana yacheta dishvaraha. Nunam sarta paraloko Naveda parasankata Yadivedana yacheta Netina deshara. Vaishnavas, please. Nunam sarta paraloko Naveda parasankata Yadivedana yacheta Netina deshara. Nunam, certainly. Sva artha paraha, interested only in sense gratification in this life or the next. Lokaha, materialistic people in general. Na, not. Veda, no. Parasankatam, the pain of others. Yadi, if. Veda, no. Na, not. Yacheta, would ask. Na, no. Iti, thus. Na aha, does not say. Yat, since. Ishvaraha, able to give charity. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Those who are too self-interested beg something from others, not knowing of others' pain. But if the beggar knew the difficulty of the giver, he would not ask for anything. Similarly, he who is able to give charity does not know the beggar's difficulty, for otherwise he would not refuse to give the beggar anything he might want as charity. Purport. Oh, okay. Please repeat. Those who are too self-interested beg something from others, not knowing of others' pain. But if the beggar knew the difficulty of the giver, he would not ask for anything. Similarly, he who is able to give charity does not know the beggar's difficulty, for otherwise he would not refuse to give the beggar anything he might want as charity. Purport. This verse describes two people, one who gives charity and one who begs for it. A beggar should not ask charity from a person who is in difficulty. Similarly, one who is able to give charity should not deny a beggar. These are the moral instructions of the Shastra. Chanakya Pandita says, San nimitte varam tyago vinishe nidate sati. Everything within this material world will be destroyed. And therefore one should use everything for good purposes. If one is advanced in knowledge, he must always be prepared to sacrifice anything for a better cause. At the present moment, the entire world is in a dangerous position under the spell of a godly civilization. The Krishna consciousness movement needs many exalted, learned persons who will sacrifice their lives to revive God consciousness throughout the world. We therefore invite all men and women advanced in knowledge to join the Krishna consciousness movement and sacrifice their lives for the great cause of reviving the God consciousness of human society. Hare Krishna. So this verse explains dharma or duty. Actually, the two dharmas are being compared here. The dharma of a giver and dharma of a beggar. Because after all the living entities here in this material world, they are divided into these big categories. Either you are a beggar or you are a giver. Nothing in between. And it's interesting that this verse particular was also spoken by two people. Although it's not mentioned here, but the Acharyas explains this. So first part is being spoken by the Dadichi Muni, who is a giver, or proposed giver, to the demigods, the beggars. And he said this jokingly, with a smile. What did he say? Selfish people don't know the pain of others. If such beggar knew others' pain, he would not ask. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur actually explains the words of the Dadichi Muni. You're absorbed, attached to the enjoyment of Svarga. Therefore, you are asking my body, but you didn't take into account how it's difficult to give up the body. Therefore, you don't know my pain. If you knew, having good intelligence of the devatas, you would not ask for it. But because you are bereft of this good intelligence, you are not really devatas. Therefore, you are equal to the animals, like tigers. And as tigers, you are acting without any consideration and any compassion. Here, he compares the demigod to the tigers who just eat the bodies when they're hungry. So what is this hunger of the demigods, who are the tigers, according to the Dadichi Muni? That's the attachment to the pleasures of Svarga, that's the hunger So therefore, they just requesting as a tiger request for flesh. So why did he say like this? It sounds like, like a little bit offensive. Actually, he wanted with these teasing words just to provoke the demigods to speak about Dharma, because they have to understand what they're doing, why they're requesting, why this request seems to be so cruel. What is this for him and what is this for them? So all these points actually comprise Dharma. So he wanted to hear the explanation from the demigods how they understand Dharma. And then the demigods, in return, in the same joking manner, they reply to teasing words of the Dichi Muni. In the second part of this verse, addressing the Dichi, selfish people don't know the pain of others. If such giver knew others' pain, he would not refuse to give the beggar anything he wants as a charity. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur again explains these meanings of the word of the Dichi Muni, of the demigods. Sorry. The donor means the Dichi Muni, who is selfish and attached to the happiness of long life and possession of a body and the senses, does not know the suffering of the beggar who is tormented by the fierce enemies. If he knew, having the good intelligence and knowledge of the sage, he would not refuse. But because you show lack of discrimination, that means you don't have this good intelligence, you don't have this knowledge of the sage, therefore you are not a real sage. Therefore you're equivalent to a cow, because you are full of lamentation and illusion. So thus they mutually exchange, and it was joking exchange actually, but actually some high truth of the mutual dharma is there behind the words. And they came to conclusion actually that their dharma to follow is to be compassionate as givers and to be compassionate as the beggars. So thus they concluded that the compassion actually is the main principle of dharma. Nothing is higher than compassion in performing our duties. The more person is self-interested, the lesser compassion he has towards others, and vice versa. And because the demigods are more concerned about their bodily pleasures, they cannot be so much concerned about others. Therefore, they more maintain the order of a universe. Thus, they didn't show real compassion because of their being self-interested somehow. And the Dichi, unlike them, he's self-realized great soul. And he doesn't have these material desires as the demigods have. Therefore, he's not attached to his body, because this body, after all, is just instrument to fulfill our desires. No desires, no attachment to the bodies, because no point in this body. Therefore, he is much more compassionate to all of them. He's thinking, okay, they're suffering. And if they lose and all this universe will be taken by the demons, then all the living entities will be suffering under the rule of the demon. So I have to give my life for this higher purpose, just to save the living entities in all universe. So the lesson is here for us. The lesser we are selfish, the lesser the person is self-interested, the more he's compassionate to others. And the Dichi literally doesn't discriminate here between the life and the death, and it's very rare, it's very remarkable because of this, and that's outstanding actually. And that means he's about this duality, like we have all this matras parshastu kaunteya shitoshna duk sukha dukkha daha, like shita ushna, and then jara and yovana, and mritu, and jivan, like this. All these pairs of the duality, he's above them. Therefore, actually it's a sign that he is liberated, because the only liberated person doesn't have this contamination in the consciousness. of this duality. So how do we know that the duality is there in the consciousness? Because we will be reacting differently on different polarities in these pairs of duality. Something will give us distress, as for example cold, and something will give us happiness, for example, like warm weather, very pleasant, and so forth. And because we react differently on these polarities, that means we are conditioned. It's called conditioned consciousness. But the Lord himself and his devotees and in general liberated persons, they're not like this actually. They don't react differently on different things. And it's said in previous chapter that Krishna always feel blissful as well as the pure devotee, even if he seemed to be suffering. But it's not real suffering. It gives him pleasure. It means the dualities are not there in the consciousness. And definitely the beggars, demigods, were not going to use this highest donation which they asked from the Dichi for the highest purpose, for the benefit of all the living entities, because they had their own interest in it. They wanted to win and enjoy Svarga. Right? But because Lord Vishnu himself wanted the life of the Dichi for this purpose, that's why it was okay to give the body for this higher purpose. And the Dichi surrendered to the will of the Lord. And this is glory of the surrendered person. This is glory of the surrender. Whatever my Lord desire, I will do. I serve him now in this present life, and when I quit my body, I also will serve him. Nothing will change for me. So death or life, it doesn't matter for a pure devotee. And in previous chapter, Krishna highly estimated the spiritual qualities of the Dichi Muni. He said about him, he is very experienced in religious understanding and affection to his disciples, Ashwini Kumaras. Therefore, he will give his body for sure for the higher purpose, for the sake of Indra. So why Krishna was so sure about eligibility to give his body? Because he already tested him. The Dichi was tested even twice for being so dedicated to the higher Dharma. And because of this ability, he got this ability to sacrifice even his life, the most cherished possession he has for this highest purpose. And it was described in the previous chapter that knowing the Dichi as being self-realized, great sages, already liberated, Ashwini Kumaras came him for the spiritual knowledge. He was very proficient, very firm in this knowledge, and it's called Brahma Vidya. So they were asking for this knowledge, but Indra said, no, if you give them knowledge, then I will cut off your head, because they are only physician. If they have this knowledge and I don't have, then it's not proper. So that's what he meant by this. But he was not afraid at all, the Dichi Muni. He still, despite of this, he gave this knowledge to Ashwini Kumaras, and actually it proved that he was going, or he was able to sacrifice even his life for the higher purpose. After all, not so many demigods come into the great sages for the spiritual knowledge and enlivening, right? Why? Because if one gets this transcendental knowledge, then what? All his attachment to material pleasure, they just go away. They don't need this anymore. But in general, the demigods, they want to enjoy. Therefore, they don't want this transcendental knowledge. They don't want pure bhakti. That as a problem. They don't want to be indifferent because of this. To the material pleasures. So he gave this knowledge to them, and on the spot actually they became liberated, they became Jivan Mukta. So powerful was his knowledge and realizations that immediately his disciple got everything, including liberation. And they already were mixed devotees, meaning some material portion of this attachment to sense gratification, material desires, was there in their bhakti, but it was bhakti plus this small portion of material something, material attachment. But together with liberation, they got free from this material portion in their bhakti. So what is left? Pure bhakti. They became pure bhaktas just after they got the spiritual knowledge from the Dichi Muni. So thus, it was contribution actually of the Dichi Muni for uplifting the demigods in general. It's very rare demigod that can be or want to be the pure devotee. Usually, they are Sakama Bhaktas. They want to serve the Lord. They surrender to the service actually more than to the object of the service. And Nectar of Devotion mentions the position of the demigods. They in servitorship with the Lord. That's their position. We have 5 rasas, 5 different mellows in our relationship with the Lord. They're in servitorship, and specifically out of all these categories of servants inside the servitorship, they are appointed servants. Krishna himself appointed some service to them. And being such, they have 7 nishtas. Nishta means faith. They have firm faith in their seva, in their service. And they wear the ocean of doership. They're very active, they're very proficient in what they're doing. And they're able to keep whole universe in the order, the 33 crores of the demigods. It's saying something, so they're very capable to do it. But why are they serving? To have access to the assets of Svarga. That's their purpose. So, therefore, they're known as mixed devotees, not pure devotees. But because of the influence of the Dichi Muni, at least pair of them, the Ashwini Kumaras, became pure devotees. So he already proved he want to give, he want to sacrifice, even more cherished his possession for the sake, for higher sake. Therefore, the Lord already knew it. Yes, he is able to do it again. He is able to give his life even for the second time. And even in this story, with the Ashwini Kumaras, actually, who would agree in this world to get his head cut off even by his own disciple without even a trace of the fear to lose it forever, right? And because the Kumaras wanted him to speak through the horse mouth. They wanted to replace his own head with a horse mouth. Then he would speak, and then Indra, he would cut off his head, and they will replace this horse head with his original head. But how many people have this strong faith in, even their disciple being able to do this? So his faith in Dharma was so strong. If we protect the Dharma, Dharma will protect us. So everything may happen during this replacement. We already knew that mantra may not be uttered properly, or tantra may not work properly, or herbs may not be helpful so much, and everything may happen. Circumstances may change, and something will disturb the replacement. Therefore, you can lose even your head. But he was not at all afraid. So Krishna already tasted him, and he gave at least twice his life for this higher purpose. So Krishna was sure, yes, he is able to give once more. And he could see. And together with the passing this test, actually the empowerment came to him, and Krishna gave him eligibility to use Narayana Kavacha. Therefore, his body became so strong, because Krishna could see that in the future it will be helpful for the demigod, and because of this Kavacha, he will sacrifice his life once more for Indra. And there is a lesson for us here as well, surrender. Krishna may ask us to do many different things, but he will not ask something which will not be feasible for us, which will not be doable for us. It will be always in our capacity to do. Although it may not seem like this, it may be difficult or super difficult, but if we surrender to this difficult task, so what happens? Actually, the empowerment comes to accomplish it. And the more difficult task, if we accept it, the more we are getting this empowerment to do. And together with surrender comes, it's like a package, comes everything. Comes empowerment, comes power, comes ability to accomplish things, knowledge, renunciation, and what else? Realization of this knowledge. Everything comes with surrender. And we should understand actually, so all these difficulties or difficult tasks sent to us for our own growth, because we are traversing a very difficult or say not easy path, actually path the way back to Krishna. Therefore, all the difficulties are given to improve our qualities, either to develop our qualities, develop our character, to be able to finally reach our destination, and more than this, to help the people who are around us, who are also traversing this path. So that's how our compassion to the people will be shown. We already heard that out of all the principles of Dharma, the compassion is the most essential, its main principle. And why so? Because Krishna has only one desire, burning desire. Actually, he cannot tolerate only one thing. He cannot tolerate the suffering of the living entities in this material world. Therefore, that's his favorite pastimes, to bring this jiva to the spiritual world, from this world of eternal happiness, of eternal suffering, to the world of eternal happiness. That's his greatest aspiration. Therefore, if we are able to show our compassion by helping others to get Krishna consciousness, to be able to proceed towards Krishna, Krishna is so happy with it. And for those who are capable to do it, for those who are doing this, helping others, he pours the torrents of rains of his mercy, actually. And with this helping, with this being compassionate to others, everything comes. And we have to understand how mercy actually flows to us through our helping others, through our being compassionate to others. That's how we can please Krishna, because it's only pastime which is accessible for us. Not the pastimes of Krishna in Goloka, not the pastimes of Mahavishnu, say, in Mahatma. Nothing is there, not the pastimes of Brahma as a secondary creation. So only these pastimes in this material world to bring these poor conditioned souls back home, back to God. It's only accessible pastime of Krishna that we can really participate in. But others, so the Diji accepted it, accepted this challenge, accepted this kind offer of the Lord. Okay, give your life for higher purpose. But some others may not be like this. And it depends on person how he perceive all these things. Say, in the previous chapter, Krishna literally gave a hint to the demigod. Can you please ask me something higher than you are asking now? Can you please ask me about pure bhakti? Can you please ask me to give you pure bhakti? Do you remember in this portion of their prayers, the demigods praying to the Lord to help them to defeat Vritrasura and enjoy Svarga? Krishna replies at the end of their prayers, only misers think material assets to be everything or to be the ultimate goal of life. A pure devotee whose mind is exclusively fixed upon me does not ask me for anything but the opportunity to engage in devotional service. Literally speaking, Krishna is telling them, why would not you ask me for pure bhakti? but they refused to take it. It's funny thing, they describe everything in their prayers. If you remember, they describe pure devotees of the Lord Krishna. They describe pure devotion to the Lord Krishna, but they didn't ask for it. They say, sorry, my Lord, we won't live here, enjoying Svarga. Because, as we told already, they have these selfish motives behind their service, so they don't want to get the highest. They want to enjoy through their service, they want to enjoy the assets of Svarga. And Krishna further said to them, since you are fools, he's giving them instructions because he is original spiritual master. He has to correct them, right, when they're not in right consciousness. Of course, they had many motives behind this. They wanted to defeat the demons for the sake of the living entities, but still, it was mixture of their own things there. And Krishna said, since you are fools, desiring material benefits and don't know what is good, what is bad for you, how can I, in knowledge, give those things to you? And in Chaitanya Charitamrita, actually, he adds, rather, I will give this fool the nectar of my lotus field. Why shall I give him the material pleasure? Let him take Charinamrita. Let him tempt the nectar of my lotus feet instead of poison of material sense gratification. That's Krishna's stand, but still he has given them back everything, right? All whatever they lost or were going to lose, he gave them everything back. Why? Actually, whatever Krishna does, it's always beneficial for the living entities, and whatever he does, he's doing only for one purpose: to make this living entity closer to him. No other purpose in Krishna's actions. Therefore, they will get their lessons out of this. They will understand that it was not proper to ask for the Dichi body for the inferior purpose. They will understand that somehow or other the lesson will be given to them. And it's another funny thing which was explained by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, how Krishna is thinking in this regard. Why he still was giving all these assets back to them. But if you will die because of not having material objects for bodily pleasure, then what to do? Ask Vritrasura for his body and you will win with this body. All right? He's stressing that they're so attached to material pleasure that they would rather die if they don't get it. So better them to enjoy. And for this purpose to get the body of Adadichi. But still, they will be taught the lesson. So, thus it's up to us if we offer whatever Krishna sends to us, right? Even it's very difficult to accept. Because finally, the highest dharma is to satisfy Krishna by fulfilling his desires. And he mentions this in Bhagavad Gita, Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja. Whatever dharma you have, whatever duty you have to execute, just give it up for my sake. Just surrender to my desires. That's what the Dichi did, but the demigods failed. And this is a lesson for us. And the Dichi was agreed even to sacrifice his own life, most cherished possession of him, for the inferior cause, for Indra. What to speak about giving or sacrificing our life for the superior purpose? Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada points out here the real reason for sacrificing our life. In this purport, he says, at the present moment, the entire world is in dangerous position under the spell of a godless civilization. We therefore invite all men and women advanced in knowledge to join Krishna consciousness movement and sacrifice their lives for the great cause of reviving the God consciousness of human society. Here, the real purpose of sacrificing our life is given by Srila Prabhupada to revive the Krishna consciousness in godless human civilization. But what Srila Prabhupada meant here under to sacrifice life? Should we all just leave our bodies like the Dishi? Of course not, right? And Srila Prabhupada means here, don't give your body, give up your attachment to the body. Don't give up your body. Give up the attachment to the body. And don't die socially by surrendering your life for the sake of Krishna, for the purpose of reviving Krishna consciousness in the godly civilization. And it's interesting, okay, we don't have so much time. And it's interesting that all the words of Dharma which Dadichi Muni wanted to hear from the demigods, you remember he wanted to hear the explanation of the highest Dharma from the demigods, but what the demigods spoke, it just comprised only last line in this verse, literally speaking. They didn't say anything about Dharma or higher Dharma. Instead, they just instruct him, the Dichi Muni, in his Dharma. They didn't even mention what they're supposed to do as their duties. And understanding them being mixed devotees with ulterior motives, now the Dichi Muni want to teach them highest Dharma, the Dharma of a pure devotee. And in verse 9, he speaks about Sanatana Dharma, the Dharma of pure devotional service to the lotus feet of the Lord. I will take 5 more minutes, if you allow me. Otherwise, you can go. And he mentioned in this verse 9, Paradukha Dukhi and Parasukha Sukhi. That's the essence of the highest Dharma, or Sanatana Dharma. To be happy for the happiness of others, to be unhappy for the unhappiness of others. And the compassion in the heart of a pure devotee is so deep that it requires some highest activity to act upon, because it's urgent feeling. The compassion, it's something which urges you to act in some particular way. So what is the highest activity? And it actually requires highest activity to be manifested through. So what is this highest activity? How compassion, through which media actually compassion will be manifested? Yes, through the preaching of Krishna consciousness. That's the highest activity to manifest our compassion. And that's what Srila Prabhupada mentioned here. A Vaishnava, it's in the purport to the 9th verse 9. A Vaishnava is para dukkha dukhi. He is always unhappy to see the conditioned souls in an unhappy state of materialism. Therefore, a Vaishnava is always busy preaching Krishna consciousness throughout the world. And we have different dharmas. We have whole ladder of dharma. We have varnashrama, and on the top, that's our occupational duties, what we're supposed to perform according to the body given to us by the modes of material nature, right? And there are 10 principles of dharma, which comprises dharma. And out of them, there is a core group of the principles: knowledge, purity, austerity, compassion, something else. Yes, truthfulness, exactly. At least 5 of them we mentioned, but it's core group. Out of them, the compassion is the most prominent. It's the highest principles of Dharma. Why? Because all other principles, that's for us, most or less, but compassion, that's for others. Therefore, it's considered to be highest. That's the view of Krishna, actually. This compassion. Therefore, from Varna to Varna, from Ashrama to Ashrama, from Shudra up to the Brahmana, from Brahmachari up to the Sannyasi, all these qualities which comprise Dharma or principles of Dharma, they're increasing until they culminate in pure devotee who is on the top, who performs Sanatana Dharma. And out of all these qualities which we mentioned, compassion is the highest. It's the highest quality which will be shown, which will be manifested from the heart of pure devotee. How I know that he is pure devotee? That his compassion will be highest, Paradukha Dukhi and Parasukha Sukhi. And it will be manifested in the preaching mood, in preaching or helping, in the case of the devotee, preaching to non-devotees to help them to understand the Krishna consciousness, to get it, or as it's in the case of devotees, to help them to develop it. Thus, and we have very nice examples actually to follow, because we have Lord Chaitanya who accepted sannyasa when he was 24. He gave up everything, literally speaking. And then we have his followers, of course, Shat Goswami, like Rupa and Sanatana. They possessed actually highest, the topmost position of whatever we can even imagine. They were finance and prime minister for Nawab Hussain Shah, but they just gave up everything and they left only Kalpina and Kantha, right? That's the torn quilt and loincloths. That's how much renowned they were. And actually, that showed how we're supposed to be detached from our body. Don't give up your body. Give up your attachment for the body. And then, of course, we have our great acharyas like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Gaurkishore Das Babaji, and of course, Srila Prabhupada and his dear disciples. So we have plenty of examples to follow. And I don't know what happened with my computer. Okay. Sanatana Dharma ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Gaur Premanande. Hari Bol. Thank you so much. If you have any questions or any comments. Yes, please. But can you please speak louder?
Hare Krishna. Thank you for the wonderful class. Is that loud enough?
A little bit louder. Still.
Okay. Thank you for the wonderful class. I was just thinking about how Krishna tested Dadachi 2 times to see how surrendered he was. And I was also thinking for ourselves that how do we understand how detached we are? Because we may be detached externally, we may not have so many possessions, and think because of that we are detached, we're advanced. But what's the real way of seeing how detached we are in heart? How can we measure how detached we are within our hearts?
How to measure our detachment, or how detached we are?
Internally. Internally?
Internally.
Yeah.
External detachment is a manifestation of internal detachment, actually. And not otherwise. You cannot be detached externally if you are internally not detached, right? So it's going like hand by hand. It's always there. There is a limb of devotional service out of these 64 limbs of devotional service to be able to give most valuable for you for the sake of the Lord, to the Lord. This is one of the limbs of devotional service. And the point is to give whatever is not so easy to give up. To give whatever we attach to the Lord. That's actually how we can measure our detachment. If we are able to give something very valuable for us, some attachment which we are really, that's something very cherished for us, that means that your consciousness is ready internally. Internally means by consciousness. You should be ready by consciousness So, and also if you're giving externally, then your internal mood of detachment will grow. The more you give externally, even although it's not there, the more you will grow detached internally. It also is there. That's how it is with our sadhana. We can do externally so many things, actually not feeling inside, like doing this, but still we are doing because it's prescribed, right? And the more we do, the more the feelings inside generated for this. Like it goes from inside within and from within inside. It's how it works. So we have to just give, start giving and giving and giving. And with this action of giving, actually the detachment grows. To give everything, whatever you can, in the mood of surrender. It's the best way, give your time, the best way to give your words, the best way to give your mind, and the best way to think of Krishna. 24 into 7 into 365.
Hare Krishna Mataji. So my question is,
Can you please speak louder because it's...
okay, my question is, you speak about Sanatan Dharma, and I come to read to the scripture, Shukla Yajurveda, they say, Sanatan Dharma.
Cannot hear. Sorry.
So you speak about Sanatan Dharma,
Okay, that's for
and you speak about the ashram up to sannyasi,
okay.
sannyasi up to Sanatan Dharma. So my question was, because one day I read in Shukla Yajurveda, they say,
You have read that Shukadeva Goswami said.
yeah, they say, Sanatan Dharma, there is no beginningless, there is no end. No one
No
create,
beginning, no end.
yeah, no one create, no one found.
No one created it, no one.
Found. So it's
Form.
called Anandi. So I was trying to know, we are all of us in a Krishna consciousness. So means we are all of us in a God consciousness.
In
so
which consciousness we are
Krishna
in?
consciousness.
Means
So
what?
is it real? Is it real truth to be in Sanatan Dharma? Because Sanatan Dharma presents the Krishna consciousness. So I don't know, in this age of Kali, because you speak about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu take sannyasi in 24 years. So is it better to take sannyasi or is it better to be in Sanatan Dharma?
Actually, we're supposed to practice Daivi Varnashrama. If we cannot practice pure devotional service, we have to establish actually Varnashrama as Daivi Varnashrama in our heart. Meaning that whatever duty we have, in whatever Varna, in whatever ashram we are, we have to do just for satisfaction of Krishna. That's the main thing, not for us, but for satisfaction, whatever we do. Plus, in this Daivi Varnashrama, this big plus, the direct devotional service, meaning Navanga Bhakti, like Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam. All this what comprises Navanga Bhakti. So these two things will make us Sanatana Dharmas, or the followers of Sanatana Dharma. Whatever we do, in whatever situation we are, we just do for satisfaction of Krishna. Your family duties, or your duties as a brahmachari, or your duties as vanaprastha, not having some other ulterior motives, but just to satisfy him. It's requires some frame of mind. Plus, to add Shravanam, Kirtanam, and Smaranam. That's what comprises Daivi Varnashrama. And this is Sanatana Dharma for us. We cannot leave all of a sudden all our occupational duties, right? We cannot. But just to change the focus. from ourselves to Krishna. And to put him in the center. Why I'm doing this? For myself, for my family? No, for Krishna, to satisfy him. And that's how it's understood for the age of Kali, Sanatana Dharma. And then, slowly, we will develop full attachment, full detachment from the bodily designations. And then what is left? Only pure devotional service. Nothing is there will be seen. That's how we should practice. That's the general understanding of this and general recommendations. I don't know if I could satisfy you with this answer. But that's what we are supposed to. Sarva Dharma Parityaja and Manmana. That's the main thing, to remember the Lord in whatever we do. That's the main thing. That's the basis of everything. If this is there, then pure devotion is guaranteed. To not let us to be distracted by our mind, and to always return it, and return it, and return it on one focus, and to become finally single-pointed in our mind, having only Krishna in the mind. And for this purpose, it's very important to observe such months as Purushottam now, it's Purushottam Vrata. And this kind of like, you're getting some impetus by this for your devotion. You're getting this impetus to become more focused on Krishna. How it was recommended by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Actually, it was his way to observe this Vrata, like Purushottam Vrata. It should be nirapeksha. Nirapeksha means without any disturbance, without any others, like whatever, distractions. We shouldn't distract ourselves on any other things during this. 24 hours, he said, just remember the Lord by hearing Krishna Katha, by being absorbed in chanting of the holy name. 24 hours, he mentioned. That's for Purushottam Vrata. We are getting the boost, like, to our devotion, right? Sometimes it's needed to be like, to get the power of these specific months, like now, like Vaishak months, or like Kartik Vrat, or like Purushottam months. They give us really great strength to perform the pure devotional service. We have to get this advantage of performing these vratas, right? And whatever we get, it may not be even, understood the results. We may not even understand the value of it, but it's very valuable. So we have to observe as much as possible this Vaishnava celebration, like different vratas for different months, especially Kartik and now Purushottam months, like this. And then it will be more easy in between to become closer to pure devotional service.
So my last question, it was I was two questions, but this is my last question about spiritual benefit and the material benefit. So we speak about this world. Always the devotee talk about material world.
Always devotee
talking about material world. Say, oh, this is material world. Don't be attached to material world. So I come to see, even Vyasadeva was explaining it, you say this is material world. But
stay in this material world.
Yeah, the people speak about the same material world. And it takes 10,000 years to Brahma to create this Brahmayoti material world, to meditating to get Kama Bija Gayatri, to call this.
Sorry, it takes 10,000 years, what?
The sound is not okay? Okay. So my question is, we are talking about always material world.
Yes,
material.
Yes.
Okay. And this material world, we qualify material world. It takes Lord Brahma 10,000 years.
To be qualified for staying in material world, it takes 10,000 years for Lord Brahma.
10,000 years Brahma meditating to get the power power to empowering this material we call material world.
To create this material
Yeah.
world. Okay.
Me, I don't call it material world because it's coming by spiritual to become real. Today we call it material world. Our action is material, but
Our action is material.
our action is material. But if you see the weather, how it's created, it's a spiritual. So I want to know exactly why devotee call this Brahmayoti material world.
Why devotee? What? Last thing.
My question last is,
Yeah.
why people, devotees, Mayavadis, all people they are devotees. So why they call this Brahmayoti, to call it material world? And in the way they qualify it is like is nonsense, you know. So they call it material world. So I want to know exactly this Brahmayoti. Because if you read even the Veda, it was taking time to create this entire universal. 10,000 years Krishna gave Brahma Kamabija Gayatri to get how to create. So why the devotee call it material world? It's like it's nonsense, you know.
Okay, what is the truth behind this creation? Because it was so valuable that it took 10,000 years for Brahma to create it. So that means it must be very valuable, right? Because so much endeavor spent for it. Why the devotees like neglecting them, saying just material world, we should not be attached, right? What was about Brahma Jyoti there? I couldn't get this portion. It's very difficult, Prabhu, because all this.
So, Mataji is a. This question we can continue after because I see the time. All of us we want to wrap.
Okay, we can do it probably like after. Thank you so much, and again, Grandaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Ribol. It's very difficult to hear.